In today's video, I'm going to show you how I duped this Pottery Barn sign that sells for $499, and I made it for about $125. Even if you're new to power tools, you can do this project.
I can barely find the time to sleep. Yeah, I spend my time running around, keeping.
And here is the material list and the tools you'll need to make this sign. Here is a big tip when you're buying your wood. Look over your wood really well. Make sure it's straight, no big knot holes, because I was so surprised how messed up the wood was. The first thing I needed to do was cut the 1x5s into 31.5-inch lengths, and I needed 8 of them. Next, I wanted to cut out the 1x2s, which I was going to use to frame out the back of the sign, because I knew there needed to be a space for the lights to go. I made all my measurements where I was going to make the cuts, and this is where I ran into my first little problem. I didn't know that a 1x5 is really about 1x4.5. I have no idea why they do that. It seems odd to me, but I'm sure people that are in woodworking already know this. So anyway, so all my cuts were too long, so I had to go back and cut a little bit off to make it fit my sign, which is now not quite as tall as I thought it was going to be. And this is what my sign looks like from the back. They were all straight cuts. It was all pretty easy. I just had to make the little adjustments for the frame around the back, and then I decided to add one more support piece right down the middle. You can see my little spotter in the background. This was the first thing that I actually built with measurements that really counted. I usually just cut wood for crafts or use my jigsaw to cut something out, so I just didn't want to mess anything up where I had to go buy more wood. So he was only allowed to interrupt me if I was making a huge mistake, which I didn't do. If you have the desire to learn how to use power tools and you just haven't done it yet, you really need to do it. It's a lot of fun. There's so many things you can now do when you have a few tools. Don't wait till you're 60 like me when I started using power tools. If I can do it, you can do it. And this tool that I'm using, it's called a brad nailer, and oh my gosh, it's fabulous. Yes, I could have done it with a nail, a hammer and a nail to do this, but it just went so much faster, and I probably wouldn't have done it if I didn't have this tool. And the money you save by making this sign and not buying it, you can buy a lot of tools.
Let's go outside. The snow is falling.
And now that my sign is all cut out and assembled, I was ready to make another one. It really was way easier than I thought it would be to make.
We're holding hands to keep each other warm.
And here it is all ready for paint. And I used Fusion Mineral Paint in Fork York Red. Fusion Mineral Paint has a built-in sealer, so it's a one-coat, well, it's not a one-coat process, but you only have to use paint, no sealer.
Is to spend this day with you. Let me give you a Christmas.
This is after one coat, and I think it took about 3 coats of paint with a little touch-up. Now, my letters aren't exactly like the sign. I got my letters from Michael's, but they are about the right size. They're 10.5 inches. And I got 2 of each letter because I wanted the letters to pop off the sign a little bit more. To paint my letters, I used Rust-Oleum spray paint, 2 times paint and primer in satin, and I used the color Blossom White. But like any DIY project, use whatever paint you have. I don't show where I glued the letters together to double them up, but I just used wood glue. And here I'm just sanding them a little bit before I give them the final coat of spray paint. I don't normally spray paint inside my garage, but it was raining that day and I wanted to get this project done. So I had the garage door up and a fan behind me blowing out the fumes. So it worked okay. Once my letters were all spray painted, I got them laid out like the original sign, and then I just needed to glue them down. I used an extra piece of wood that was left over to use as a guide to get my letters all spaced evenly on both sides. And I used Titebond wood glue to glue them down. I let them dry overnight, and then the next day I cut out the holes for the lights. And this was the hardest part for me because I don't have the strongest hands. So this is where I did run into a little bit of a problem, and I'll show you that all my holes are not round. Some of them are a little oval and some of them are a little chewed up. But that's what's nice with wood. You can just fix it, and it all worked out. And this is what the bit looks like that I used to cut the holes. Because there were two R's, I wanted the holes drilled in the exact same spots. So I cut out a piece of, I cut an R out of a piece of paper, and I was using that as a template so I would get my holes in the same spot. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to measure it out and make sure I get everything in the right spot.
The snow is falling down and every child is having so much fun. The snowman is twice the size as me.
And then I get it all lined up, and then I do the dumbest thing. You'll see it right here. I completely destroyed my R that I cut out. So if you use a template like this, you just need to barely drill a hole through the paper so you know where it goes, and then remove your paper and continue drilling your hole. So I could still use it, I could put it back together, but it was a pretty dumb mistake. I also drilled a hole in my table, so and I think this is where I did it right here. I had no idea I was doing it at the time, but yeah, that's what I was doing.
I'm making plans for what we're gonna do. I feel so blessed that I can be with you, 'cause God knows that I've been lonely.
And it's very messy. Yeah, I didn't realize it would be so messy, but it was worth it.
Let's take a walk and we can follow the moonlight till we reach a place we can stay.
And here I am trying to piece my template back together, but it worked. And here are some samples of my not so great cuts. Here's one that's a little oval, but I just had to do a little touch up. I used some spackle, sanded it down, repainted, and we were good.
I don't need any presents as long as I spend this day with you. So beautiful, kissing on a mistletoe.
Since I had used spray paint to paint my letters, I didn't really know what to do the touch up. So this is what I did. Maybe other people already know how to do this. I just took the spray paint, I put it in a little container, and I got enough spray paint in the container, and then I just took a paintbrush and touched it up.
Is to spend this day with you. Let me give you
And now the fun part begins, putting in the lights, and it really is a two-man job. It's way easier if you have another person to help you, because you have to pop the light off, push the light through, and then push it. Once you get the light through, then you pop the light bulb back on, and that's what holds your light bulb in place. But what is Christmas Lights 101? Even when the lights come brand new out of the box, plug them in and make sure they work, because ours didn't work. Each letter has 6 light bulbs in it, so that's 30 light bulbs, and we had 2 packs of 25. So what we did the second time we put the light bulbs in is we left some of the space in between the lights as we were going. Instead of putting all the lights in and having the excess at the end, we put in a light, skipped a light, put in a light, skipped a light, so that the extra lights were throughout the back, not all in one spot. I hope that makes sense.
Making our Christmas memories, oh, and I've been longing to hold you.
And if I make this sign again, do you see how the back piece goes along the very edge of the back of the frame? And the letters go up there, and you need to put 2 holes for the lights. So you're going through double the wood. So for my next sign, I would put that top brace piece down a little bit farther so I'm not having to drill through 2 pieces of wood and pushing the light through 2 pieces of wood.
Christmas lights, so you should come back home.
We flipped the sign around so you could see how I was doing it from the front. I was just kind of pulling the light through, popping that light bulb back on, and Michael would pull it back so that it was in there snug.
These are the good times with you.
And here's a good shot of my M that only ended up with 5 holes. I just couldn't figure out where to put that 6th hole because my letters were a little bit different than the original sign. And my sign has been hanging up for a few days, and I totally forgot that the M was wrong. So you can't really even tell. It doesn't even show. You have to be looking for it. And here I am removing all the lights because we just figured out that the lights didn't work. So Michael ran to Walmart to get another box of lights. And we did it all again, and this is how it turned out. I love this sign, and I can't believe I actually made it. So it's never too late to try something new. And don't they say 60 is the new 30? Or is that 50? If you've made it this far in the video, thanks so much for watching. Let me know by leaving a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe.